We're surrounded by people's lives and their stories, and they're important. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to buy something on Amazon. It's like, nope, there's people behind those products. You know, even if you buy it on Amazon, there's still a person who made that product or who, you know, is shipping that product to you. You know, those people matter.
Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Podcast, where soulful entrepreneurship and holistic mind-body wellness meet to help you heal, discover your soul's purpose, and change the world. I'm your host, Gabby Ortega, entrepreneur, psychology expert, social media maven, and soulful leadership coach. And it's my mission to empower you into becoming the light leader you're meant to be. Each episode will be diving deep into topics that will help you gain personal mastery over your healing and mind-body wellness, while also giving you practical tips and tools to help you create, market, and scale a heart-centered business around your soul's purpose and life mission. Whether you're in the beginning of your self-awakening journey or a seasoned inner work god or goddess who's ready to step into their leadership as a soulpreneur, this is going to be your new favorite place to be. We know that you don't just want to feel happier and more fulfilled, but you want to deeply know yourself and powerfully step into your life's purpose while creating massive abundance around your mission. That's why I've created this podcast for you, the light leader of the next generation. Welcome home. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Gabby Ortega, and I am so excited to have my girl, Lindsay Sims, here today, who I totally talked into coming in onto this podcast because she normally doesn't, and she hasn't done a bunch. So I appreciate you jumping on here with me because I am totally nerding out about her business. She is a client of mine. She's an Ignite. And I don't generally work with people who have storefronts or offer like physical products. But when she actually got on her discovery call and I learned more about her business, and our team learned about what she was really trying to accomplish, we were like, yes, like you need to be with us. Like you are in the right place. I actually have some items from her store that I'm obsessed with, and we're going to talk more about these beautiful, magical things and what makes her vision and her store so unique and so amazing. And so I just want to welcome you to the show here. And she is the owner and founder of Maison Soleil. That is the name of her store, and it's an ethical fashion boutique. She empowers women to live to their fullest potential through fair trade principles by selling their handmade products in her store. And this enables them to feed their families, invest in communities, and even start their own businesses. So welcome.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. That is quite an introduction.
Yeah, I'm very energetic and excited and a little overwhelming sometimes. So welcome to my life.
No, I need some of that energy and like a drink.
Oh my God. That'll be the next launch.
Bottle it up.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, your journey and what led you to create Maison Soleil.
So Maison Soleil is actually not the first name of our business. It actually was Jolie Soleil, which is based on my old AOL username.
Yes.
So I when I started the business, I was working my 9 to 5, and I was kind of dissatisfied, and I wasn't feeling valued, and I felt like, there's got to be more I can do to give back to the world. Because I always say, like, when you want to invest in yourself, but you also want to invest in others. And that helps, like, you giving back makes you feel better too. So whenever you're trying to make your life better, it's always good to start with other people too. And so I started looking at what I could do, and I found this company. It was called Trades of Hope, and they're actually a direct sales company, but they're fair trade certified. And that's when I learned what fair trade was. And I had never heard fair trade before. I mean, maybe I did. Maybe I was like fair trade chocolate or something. A lot of people didn't hear about fair trade coffee, fair trade chocolate. But I never heard about it with fashion and with like jewelry and clothes and bags and all that stuff. And so I started with that company, and within a month I was like, I want to pick out my own products. Like, it was like really quick. It didn't take me very long to realize I actually want to do this myself. And so I started with Jolie Soleil Boutique. And we started with, my friend made the logo, and it was not the best, but he's a great graphic designer. I really think it was me. My direction didn't make it the best.
You should have seen my first logo that I tried to get with a designer. I didn't even know how to like vocalize or verbalize like what I was even looking for. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was like clunky and like weird colors, and I was like, this is not. And so I went to like Vistaprint, and I was like, oh, I love this pretty like mandala that they had that kind of remind me of like a sunset. And so I like picked my own colors and was using that. And then a year ago, I was like, you know what? I've seen that somewhere else, and I don't want to see my logo anywhere else. I want it to be unique. So I went and I had a logo created on 99 Designs, and
it's a great resource, guys. 99designs.com. Really, really good.
It was really cool. I don't even know where the designer was from. I'm pretty sure they were from like Europe or something. But they did a really good job, and picked up my new logo and renamed my company to Maison Soleil. And I really wanted to change the name because one, it had more meaning than just my AOL username, and the fact that Soleil is my middle name. So like that was the only other connection I had to it. And I wanted to pick Maison because in French it means house or house of. And so I like the idea of like building a community with my brand and having it like, once I have my own storefront, I want it to be a place where people can come and gather and really feel at home and really feel like this is where they want to go. And this is where I want to be a part of something else. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. I have a reel on my Instagram if anybody wants to check this picture out, but it's a picture of me in my first pop-up ever at Eastern Market here in DC. And I had like two little tables. One of them was like a free table that we got from like a friend. And the other one I think I got off like Craigslist for like $20, and it was like from a charity. They were taking the money for a charity. And then I used, instead of sheets, instead of tablecloths, I used bed sheets. And one of them was like this bright magenta, and the other one was like this paint splattered one. And it was such a hodgepodge. It was such a mess. And my mom,
you did the damn thing, which I love. You're like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
And it's really been like my baby from the beginning, but like my entire family now is like helps out with the business. Like every time my mom comes to visit, actually, she's coming to visit tomorrow, and she's like, so we're going to Eastern Market on Sunday, right? I'm like, yeah, like she knows the drill now. Like Sundays are for market. And I actually have to go to like Southern Maryland tomorrow for another pop-up that I do because they're expanding, which is great for them, but like my stuff is literally on the wall that they're going to tear down, so I have to go and move everything. And,
like, that's what happens when you have to do in-person stuff. I always forget there's like logistics and
Yeah. And, but yeah, I had never worked retail before, and I always wanted to. I always loved fashion, and I had like this weird fashion sense. My mom never knew what to buy me because she never knew if I was going to like it because my fashion sense was so crazy. Like,
I love that.
Like my 8 facts that somebody tagged me in, and there was like a picture of me wearing like a polka dot tutu with like a striped sweater underneath. And my mom was like, I never would have put those two things together. Like my mom always thought my fashion sense was so weird.
You've always been like a trailblazer then.
Yeah.
Like, just like marches to the beat of their own drum. Like I know what I like, and that is what looks good.
Yeah. So
love that.
But the more I've learned about fair trade and what that means is like, really it's that there's a long-term like sustainable relationship between the buyers and the suppliers. And so that they're not just like some companies, I don't know any off the top of my head, but I know there are companies out there who will go in and be like, we need 60,000 skirts in this color and that pattern. And we need them in 6 months, and then they leave. And then that factory now has no work from that company. So the point of fair trade is that you come in and you make smaller orders over time. And that way there's a longer relationship between the person making it and the person buying it to sell to the consumer. And so that's really what fair trade means. And also fair wages as well, and fair work environments. So there, I think I want to say 9 or 10 fair trade principles. I'll actually have to I'm trying to make a post on this for Instagram.
Yes, I would love to see this. I had no idea.
A lot. But it's a lot of people like, oh, fair trade just means fair trade. It's like, no, actually it means a lot more than just those 2 words. It means a lot more. And to the people who make products in these fair trade factories around the world, it means a lot to them because they get to take home more money, which then gets invested into their family, which then gets invested into their communities and beyond. And it's like a ripple effect. And it's beautiful to watch. Trades of Hope, the company I started with, they used to do this thing where they're like, okay, if you hit this sales mark, we'll donate a bicycle to a girl in Cambodia. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, they weren't just being like, here's a Porsche or whatever when you hit this sales mark. They're like, we're going to help other people in your name. Oh my God, and I just love that. Yeah. And I was like, I want to do that. So my goal with my business really is to one day be able to donate a large portion of our sales every month to an organization that we work with. I actually got an email yesterday from Papillon, an organization we work with in Haiti, that they need medical help for some of their artisans. And so they're asking for donations. The last time they did that, I donated $500. Wow. I'm trying to figure out now, like, okay, I want to donate more money. So then I'm like, all right, what's my sales goal? Because I want to make sure I can donate that money, like it really motivates me.
The cycle of empowerment, like this is exactly what I'm freaking talking about. Like we can make business empowering. We can make business that actually is conscious and helps people and is ethical and is just rooted in integrity, and we can still make money. Like honestly, no one needs to be a fucking billionaire. I'm sorry. Like $1 billion is I think are so like, it's such a far like reality for us that we kind of compare millionaires and billionaires. There is a very, very big difference. We do not need billionaires. We do not need $1 billion for our families, for whatever. We can pass that along. We can make hundreds of millions of dollars and be great. We don't need billions. Let's not cut the wages of workers who are working so hard for us. Let's not take away the humanity of this kind of like, we're working with human to human, like that's it. So how can we make it in a way that's going to be, empowering and not exploitative? And I have a friend who, I shouldn't say friend, she's married to a friend of my fiance. And she used to like, I hope she's not listening to this. She used to work for Lululemon, and she would go to, I think Myanmar. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm terrible. I think it's Myanmar. And she would go like every couple of months to like check on these factories, and like the conditions and that the little amounts of money that they're paying these human beings, and the kind of like horrible situations, living situations that they're in, and work situations. I never bought another pair of Lululemon pants ever again. And I think this whole fast fashion thing, we're starting to see companies like Shein, companies like Fashion Nova, companies that are just like, even companies like Target or Forever 21 and H&M. Like I used to shop all the time at H&M, and I feel really badly about it now because it's not okay. And this is how fast fashion works. It exploits other people in who are easy to take advantage of because they're vulnerable and maybe don't know any better, don't have a lot. And we have the ability to change this if we stop putting our money into those companies and we start investing in companies like Maison Soleil, and we start investing in what you're doing and your mission, because that is helping and having a massive ripple effect all over the world for other human beings. And if we are going to like ascend to this 5D, if we are going to join into this collective consciousness and heal the planet, it means operating in a totally different way. And I think this is exactly what we need to be thinking about.
Yeah. I always say, and I'm not the person who made up this phrase, but you're voting with your dollar.
100%.
You are using that dollar, and people think that it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't mean anything. I'm like, but it does. Because if you stop buying Lululemon pants and you start buying Girlfriend pants, which are another eco-friendly legging company.
We'll tag them in the show notes because y'all, if you need leggings.
And theirs are actually, they're like Rothy's. They're made from like plastic bottles. So they're eco-friendly too.
Wow.
But if you like start buying girlfriend pants instead, and then all of a sudden there's like this shift over time, you can see like, if you look at a graph, you're going to see like, oh, this is Lululemon and now it's going down and then it's going up for girlfriend leggings. And then next thing you know, Lululemon's going to go out of business. Or they'll be
absolutely
to change the way
change their practices.
Yeah, change their practices, change how they treat their factory workers, how much they pay them. And then the other thing about, you're talking about the factories and the conditions and the treatment, it's also not sustainable. Because
yes, absolutely not sustainable.
It's like I said, it's a ripple effect, right? So like if they don't treat them well, those people are not going to be able to feed their families. They're not going to be able to invest in their communities. They're not going to be able to educate others or pay into education for their kids. Because in a lot of countries, education, like we have in the States, is not free. It's expensive. And a lot of times they have to wear uniforms to school. And then so the parents have to pay to buy the uniforms. And that's extra money that they can't put food down on their tables, so it's a ripple effect, as I said, and it's so hard to watch, when I first learned about all this, it was very emotional for me. And I think sometimes when I get frustrated with people and they're like, oh, I found this really cute thing at Old Navy and it was only $6. And I'm like, imagine how much somebody got paid to make that. If that was the top retail price for that product, it wasn't on sale. It was just $6. Yeah. That person probably got paid 15 cents, maybe. And it's like, think about how 15 cents means almost nothing to you, right?
Yeah.
A nickel and a dime. What does that get you? Not much.
Yeah.
They made a algorithm. It's like only $1.50 or whatever I can't do math right now.
Horrific. No, but I mean, I think we get it. It's really like pennies to what these companies are profiting. Yeah. And that kind of huge disparity is so not okay, know? And I think people get maybe a little frustrated with some fair trade companies and they're like, well, this is bougie, or this is like for rich people, or this is, it's like $5 more. It's not like it's that much more expensive. And trust me, you have ordered shit off DoorDash that's more than this stuff. I think it's like get a reality check too, like where you're spending your money, because literally, like you said, it is a vote. Like if you are trying, if you're someone who's like, I want to change the future, I want things to look better for people, I want to affect change, like that happens when you make choices that like go in that direction, and that includes where you spend your money. And so like, I really encourage you guys to question everything. And even if it's a little bit more expensive, it's a piece that you can probably will last longer than fast fashion 100%. It's going to be something that is, giving back and supporting and empowering this new kind of conscious movement that we're trying to create to support all of humanity. I love Daughters of Culture. Listen, my New Jersey's coming out. But I love Daughters of Culture. And it's made by a Peggy Caucasian, and she's really, really, really wonderful. And she is small, batch. She makes maybe 50 of each piece at a time. She has like in personal relationships with her seamstresses and with the people creating her products. Everybody gets a fair wage. It's sustainable and ethical. And I, no joke, meet with her once every 2 months for her to pick out clothes for me. And I buy only really from her now because I just love what she has. It fits me really well. And I feel great about like where my money is going. Money is power, it's energy. So like, where are you putting yours?
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I almost exclusively buy clothes when I purchase them for my store. I'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll get that for me and this for me.
One for me, like, one for you.
I ordered a dress that I got this past fall and I was like, oh, they're coming out with green. Yay. Like I can get my favorite color now. And like, cause they change their colors with every season. And I'm like, so I was just so excited because I get like previews sometimes of what they're coming out with. And I'm like, can't wait to tell like my customers, because I have a Facebook group for my like VIP customers. It's anybody really, but like it's like I just
if you want like the details right away, you want to be like the first to know.
Yeah, you get like behind the scenes look, and you get to like help me pick out products and we'll show product, like I'll get products in and they'll be like, all right, guys, I'm going live in like 10 minutes, like let's open the box together. And it's exciting. But this company is called By to V, and they're actually based in Indiana. And they're actually a nonprofit. They have their own store in Indiana, but they're a nonprofit organization that works with a group of women in Cambodia. And they actually have to like go to the market to buy fabric. And what they do is they'll buy fabric that would usually have ended up in a landfill. So one time I had this, I think it was this dress or a skirt. It was a skirt. And somebody came up to my booth and was like, oh, I think I've seen that at Gap. And I was like, yeah, you probably have, because they're probably tossed this fabric away. And now this company has remade new clothes with it instead of it going into a landfill. And so I love that, like, a lot of the companies I'm starting to work with or have been working with are really thinking about how to bring like eco consciousness into the fashion as well. So like rescued fabrics, or another company I work with out of Cambodia is called Tonlé, and their fabric, all their stuff is zero waste. So they don't use plastic when they wrap their products. They don't they use like paper and like a piece of like fabric string to like wrap their products up. And they don't use like extra boxes and stuff when they pack things. So I love that a lot of people are getting more into that. And I think when people think about ethical fashion, they think, oh, this is just like ethically made. It's like also, you have to think about sustainable fashion in that same way. So these are interchangeable, I think. A lot of people think they mean the same thing, but they're actually different things. Yeah. And so sustainable fashion is bringing that like zero waste and that eco-friendliness of fashion. And a lot of people are getting into that. Like, people love their Rothy's shoes, right?
Yeah, especially California people.
Yeah, I'm like, you love your Rothy's shoes, but guess what? There are tons of other brands out there who are doing the same thing. And so people are starting to discover that and really love that. But Rothy's is such a big company. It's like, I can never stock them in my store because people just go to their website, or like people try to get them for, really cheap on Poshmark and stuff. And so it's one of those brands that's like really out there, and I'm really like happy for them, but I wish sometimes they'd be like, by the way, there are more companies out there who do this.
Yes. And you're speaking to something that I think is super important, which is that I don't know where to go for this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which ones are not. I can go down Abbot Kinney, which is like, for those of you who don't know, the very like sceney place. You've definitely seen it in pictures on Instagram everywhere. It's like where all the influencers go, and like these really expensive, really kind of like, stores that make you feel like they are like in this category, but really are not. And they are like terrible. So like, how do you actually, not saying everybody in Abbot Kinney is terrible. Let me take that back. I love Abbot Kinney. It's great. You guys, I love you. But I have seen like in various places, not just that place, but these stores that really kind of market themselves as being this kind of way without saying it out loud. So people think that they're going to shop at the right kind of place. Is there like, how do we find these places? Like, how do we find out where we can spend our money and we're giving it to a company that's going to do something good with it?
So the term you're looking for is called greenwashing. So that's when companies will say like, oh, we're sustainable, we're being ethical, we're going green or whatever. There was a discussion around the Super Bowl commercials, because I think a lot of companies were like, we're going green, and I didn't watch the Super Bowl or the commercials, but I heard about it and I read articles about it, and I was like, well, it's great, because my husband was like, guess what? This company's going to come out with hybrids. I'm like, that's great. I'll believe it when I see it. Like, it's one of those things. It's like people use those words, but they're not actually doing anything. A good place to look for, and this is also an app. It's a website and an app. It's called Good For You. And they rate actual companies based on whether or not they're actually doing what they say they're doing. I think
this is amazing.
So Doc Martens, and they actually were like, here's a better company to go for instead. And they'll tell you, like, shop this company instead.
This is what I need.
And so it's a website and an app. Again, it's called Good For You. And
we'll drop it in the show notes, guys, as well.
We'll drop it in there. But
Maddie will drop it in there. She does all my wonderful show notes. Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah. And they actually have like an Instagram. And so that's how I find out about their stuff. I just follow them on Instagram and they'll post like, by the way, we did a review on Doc Martens and here's what we said. And I loved it because they put like the other brand, it was called like NAE. I forgot what it stands for, but it's like non-animal. Anyway, they don't use animal products in the shoes, the other ones they mentioned. And so they were like, and then this company actually follows like ethical practices. So it was pretty cool. And they looked almost the same. Like it was like the picture was almost, I thought it was the same picture. Like I had to look at it again.
Yeah. Like there are alternatives, y'all. Like we have, I think, more and more of these companies, but they're so small usually that it's like, it's really hard to find. So I'm really glad that there's an app because I need that.
Yeah, there's an app for that.
There's an app for everything these days. It's so funny. I was talking to someone and I don't know if you've had this experience. I'm like a millennial, I'm 32. And so I like my fiance laughs so hard. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go to the store to get this. And he's like, well, do you want to just order it online? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I could. He's like, you don't even know if the store has it. And I was like, and part of me still wants to just go in person and do all this stuff.
I'm the same way. I love going to in-person stores. And I think what's funny is like, we're looking at like my business and trying to move it more online, and then people are like, oh, online is where you need to go. And I'm like, I get that, but I make most of my sales in person. And I think it has to do with the fact that I'm there, because if you left my husband in charge while I went to the bathroom, if he made a sale, I'd be shocked. Like there was a time where he made a sale and I was like, wait, how did you make a sale? And he was just like, oh, this person wanted to buy a card and I just scanned your thing. I'm like, great. Because like, if there's not a scan tag on it, he doesn't know where it is. He'll have to look it up. And like, sometimes he doesn't realize there are scan tags on things, but like, he's very like, everything's made by women and it's ethically made. And then I'm like, you have to say hi to people. He's like, I do. I say hi. I'm like, he's like, I say your spiel. And I'm like, great. I'm like, do you smile? He's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, and now we're wearing masks, so it's like you can't even tell if we're smiling. But I'm like, it's his vibe he puts out, When I'm there, I'm like, hi, this is my stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm like, it's a whole different vibe when I'm there, so it's really funny. But
I think you're right. I think that listen, there's something to be said for brick and mortar. And I think when we're looking at especially the items that you curate, they're so special. To have you there to talk us through what makes this so special, why is this so cool, is definitely different than just seeing it online. So I'm actually really excited for your storefront. I know it's going to come in the next year or two. I feel it. And everybody will be able to go check you out in person and in these different kinds of markets that you do as well. Where are you located so everybody knows in case they want to check you out live?
So I'm in Washington, D.C. Eastern Market is in kind of the middle southeast area. It's very famous. If you're in DC, you know where Eastern Market is. And they have an outdoor flea market on Saturdays and Sundays. I frequent there on Sundays because Saturdays is really hard to get a spot because it's like the better day or whatever. Anyway, I think Sundays is fine. So that's fine with me.
We're going to make Saturday the best day.
Yeah, but Saturdays, right now we're not doing it, but I'll be in Baltimore on Saturdays when they reopen Baltimore. I'm at Be More Flea. And then I'm also, if you're in Southern Maryland, La Plata, Maryland has a boutique called Dream Big Boutique. And they have multiple vendors there. So a lot of it's like handmade arts and crafts, but really nice stuff. I actually, every time I go there, I end up buying more stuff. I'm like, you guys have to stop making such good stuff here. It's amazing.
That's a testament then definitely to the quality.
Yeah. And that is, again, that's in La Plata, Maryland. So it's near, what is it called? Not Frederick. Frederick's Northern Maryland. I can't remember, but it'll come to me later.
I'll Google it and make sure everything's in the show notes because I think these resources are really helpful for those of us looking to take a step kind of in this direction. And then of course you have your website and everything is up there as well, which is maisonsoleil.com, and we will absolutely put it in these show notes here. I guess I kind of want to ask you, as we're kind of wrapping up, first of all, can you tell me about, or tell the audience about this bowl? Because I'm obsessed. I literally just got a second one, you guys, in a different size because it's going to be on my bed to hold my coffee and my book, and my little things when I'm just having a nice lazy Saturday in. I got this, and this is in my living room on top of my my dining room table, and it brings me so much joy. It's like so textured. There's like, it's just like, you can tell that it's not made by a machine, and it just carries an energy to it that is so different than anything I have in my house other than like my crystals. It feels like there's like a lot of energy in this. Um, and so I guess just want to jam out. Like, can you tell, and by the way, if you're listening and not watching on YouTube, this is like a woven bowl. And it's like green, and it looks like there's a sun pattern in the middle. And it's like this tightly woven bowl made of, what is it? Grass, right?
Thistle grass. Yeah.
Woo! Oh my God. Okay. So tell me about this and why this is so freaking cool and why I'm like dorking out.
So, the bowl, so actually it's like bluish green. I don't know. It says blue on the website, but everybody thinks it's green. I think it's like one of those like aqua turquoise kind of colors, you know? Like
Yeah.
And then of course it has like the little flower petals woven in, which is kind of cool. I don't even know how they do that. Like when they're weaving, they switch colors. I'm like, how did that, like, I don't even know how they do that. It's crazy.
It's so amazing.
But that bowl is made by a company called Azizi Life, and they work with multiple cooperatives in Rwanda. And that bowl is a medium-sized bowl, so it takes 2 to 3 days to make, which is like, I think about like what I can do in 2 to 3 days, and I'm like, that bowl takes 2 to 3 days to make, you know, and it's crazy. I'm like, that's a lot of time. You know, I could do so many things in 2 to 3 days, but they do it throughout the day. So they'll get up, they'll feed their kids, they'll weave some more, they'll have lunch, they'll weave some more, they'll, you know, make dinner, they'll weave some more. So it's throughout the day. So it's like they do take breaks, not like they're straight up for 2 days.
Like 48 hours straight.
You know, they sleep, you know, but like 2 to 3 work days it takes them to make it. And they use what's called forest grass to make the inside. So there's, I shared a picture the other day on Instagram, and it was like the bowl was being weaved and you could see the grass sticking out. So that's what's on the inside, and that's forest grass. So it's not like the grass they dye, it's different grass. And then the other grass, they like dye it in like natural dyes to make those different colors, whether it's black or blue or pink or white. They make all these different colors now.
That's amazing. I mean, so much love, so much intention, focused energy, like that kind of, when you create objects in that way, they're different. They carry a different energy, essentially, I think.
And I think I told you, Gabby, about this, but like one morning they were like, oh, we want to like meet you. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, we're going to do a Zoom. I was like, okay. They're like, well, it'll have to be at like 7 a.m. your time. I'm like, that's fine. So I literally got up early, 6:30 a.m. I was so excited. Got up on Zoom, and I got to like talk to their liaison there, who's American. And then she knows the language there. So she introduced me to all these artisans, and once they realized I was literally live on the phone, computer, or whatever she was holding, they were like, oh my God, wait, she's live? Oh my God. Like they were all in my face, and they were just so sweet, and they were just like so excited to meet me. And I was like, wow, I'm not even one of their biggest suppliers yet, you know, like, and they were so excited to finally realize, oh, wait, that's who we made that bowl for, or all those bowls for, you know? And I was just like, it was so cool. And they were just so sweet. And then they sent me a video, I think like a couple months ago. It was probably for the holidays or something. And they were like, we're just so thankful for Maison Soleil and all your customers. And they just did this like unique, like custom video just for us.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I love it. And like, I still have it, and I like watch it sometimes.
That is so cool. Oh my God. Like I don't know about you, but I probably would have gotten really emotional.
Yeah, it was so sweet. And it's good to remember that there are people behind the products that you buy, the things that you wear, the things that you hang up in your home, you know, the sheets that you sleep on, you know, there are people behind those products. And they might be using a machine, but there are still people behind them. And they matter, and they're important too.
Oh, so. Hell yeah. Bringing back, you know, humanity to consumerism. Like how can we do that? And this is exactly how we recognize that there's a person behind everything that you see in your home, in your space, and kind of thinking about that now, I'm looking around my office and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, holy shit.
People's lives we're surrounded by people's lives and their stories, and they're important. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to buy something on Amazon. It's like, nope, there's people behind those products. Even if you buy it on Amazon, there's still a person who made that product or who, is shipping that product to you. All those people matter. And I think we need more of that in our lives, especially after the last 4 years in the US.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It's been, and especially because I'm in DC, it's been very stressful here. And it's been interesting because I'm so glad that we've switched over to a new administration. It feels so, the vibe here in DC is so different.
I can't imagine being at the epicenter of all of that energy, and chaos.
It's a lot. It's been kind of crazy, but we're all glad that things have changed. Are changing. It's not done yet. We're still working on it.
We're on it though. We're chipping away.
Yeah. But I think that we all need to remember that, especially during the pandemic, that it's not just me, it's a lot of people.
All of us.
We're all in this. Yeah.
And truthfully, we can't count on any governments in the world to take care of us, guys. They're going to do hopefully their best. We wish, but obviously we know everybody's a human being at the end of the day who has their own shit. Even if they're making legislation, even if they're in positions of power, they are human beings with their own shit. At the end of the day, it's people like us who really need to just start creating these spaces, and making sure that we're looking out for one another, because no matter what you think, we're kind of on our own here, us little people. And so especially those of us who kind of have soft hearts and we really do want to see good things happen, and we're not hardened yet. I think it's really important that we get out there with that love, with that intention, and go, okay, how can we take care of each other? And I think of the same thing, when I had Maddie join my team, she was by herself, it was just her, she was my VA. And she told me I kind of have this dream of having a VA agency. And I was like, go for it. And empowered her to go freaking do it. Now she has 11 people working for her.
Oh my God.
She's 23. And I always talk about her because I did not have my stuff together at 23 like that. But she's empowered all of these women who work for her, who are friends of hers, who are young, who are in school, who are doing all these kinds of things and need an income now. She's able to help them. They go and they help their clients, and they support their clients and everything they're doing. And it's so nice. It's we're just creating our own opportunities here, you guys. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. But start creating spaces, or at least giving your money to people who are creating the spaces that are going to help us move forward as a human race together and empowered.
Yeah. You just brought up a good word, opportunity. A lot of people, one of the, probably the most frequently asked questions I get, and because people are skeptical, which is good. I think that's good to be skeptical, but they're like, well, how do these women get paid? And I'm like, well, I buy a bulk from the organization that works directly with them, whether it's a nonprofit or their company, and I pay them up front. They get paid up front for the work that they do. So these companies are constantly paying these women. So they're not just sitting there not getting paid because I didn't order something from them. They're always getting paid because they're always getting small orders from companies like mine. And I've had people that are like, well, how do you know the money goes back to them? And I'm like, because I trust organizations. And they're like, well, why do you trust them? I'm like, because they're fair trade certified. And if they're fair trade certified, they've gone through a year-long lengthy process to become certified. They
probably paid a ton of money to do that.
It's expensive to get it done too. Yeah.
People do not understand, you actually have to go through a lot of hoops and pay a lot of fucking money to be recognized as organic or as sustainable or as ethical. And yeah, that's not just stuff that you just call yourself. You actually have to invest your money and your time and energy into getting those things. And who does that if they're not really interested in it? That takes a lot.
Yeah. I started working with some brands. There's a couple brands in DC that I started working with a couple years ago, and they're certified now. But when I first started working with them, I asked them, well, are you certified yet? And they're like, oh, we're in the process. I'm like, that's great. Because the more certified companies we have, the more legitimacy is given to these brands and the more people will shop from them. I'm not a fair trade member myself yet because I feel like because it's expensive to get certified or become a member.
And you're a small business. I mean, you're just getting started.
Yeah. But I have a friend of mine who has a business. I think she's in Minnesota, and she's like, "Oh, I'm already starting my paperwork." I'm like, maybe I should just start my paperwork, because it doesn't mean you have to pay for the application fee yet. Like, you just start work, then you get started. And so she's like, inspiring me to be like more, I guess, I don't know if legitimate's the right word here, but like more, I don't know, recognized as someone who supports the movement as well. But they actually have a group on Facebook for all the fair trade retailers. So I have
I love that
community. Yeah. So like I have this small community, so I can like reach out to them and ask them questions, or I just love, because we're also supportive of each other. There's not really that competition there because my friend has a store in Annapolis and that's only a couple hours away, but it's like, who cares? That's a couple hours away. There are plenty of people in between there and here. And a lot of times I'll send people to their stores and I'll be like, oh, I don't have that product, but you can check out my friend Shannon's store. She has it. And they'll be like, okay, great. And it's just like the consumer wins, but you know what? We win too, because that means more people are buying fair trade, more people are buying ethically. And in the end, like we all win, there's no real competition there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for giving us a little bit of a kind of sneak peek behind the glimpse behind like the curtain of what goes on, when you are kind of in this position and you're in a company kind of trying to figure this stuff out. I didn't know that there was like a whole application process. And I hope this is helpful for y'all if you're listening and really thinking about starting your own little store or something like this. If you could share with us maybe like, what is like a lesson that you've learned, like a big lesson that you've learned that you wish you knew kind of like when you were getting started that you would like maybe give to our audience?
A lot of the stuff I'm learning in Ignite now, actually, I wish I had known when I first started, like you did like the ikigai thing. And like, I realized, wait, I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do. Like
that was the best. Lindsay like messages me and she goes like, I just did the soul's purpose exercise where like I have people go through like all these different things to figure out what their soul's purpose is, or multiple purposes, so you can create a business if you want to. And then she's like sends it to me and she was like, supporting women, ethical and sustainable fashion, like this and that. And I was like, you're literally describing your company. Like, and she's like, oh, I'm already doing it.
Like, well, it's like this self-actualization that like I'm doing it. Like this is what I want to do. In the beginning, like I was like, oh, I just want to like do something that gives back. But really what I wanted to do was to like do this. And it took me a few years to really solidify my vision of what I wanted to do and like get like my branding really on point and like get a new logo. It's like I waited 2 years to become an LLC, like all these things I should have done in the beginning. But it's like when you're in the beginning, it's like scary because you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to last. And for a long time, I didn't know if it was going to work. The first year was rough. Second year was great. And then the third year was a pandemic. So, we're going into year 4 and I'm like, still a pandemic. I mean, ups and downs. Yeah. Like it's a peaks and valleys, but, we were on track to be making, twice as much this past year in 2020. And we made half as much as the year before. Because, and people are like, well, you can't just blame it on the pandemic. I'm like, well, I mean, I can, because the markets were closed half the year and we make more.
You were getting most of your sales.
Yeah. But were through the markets, and our online functionality was great, but it wasn't like, our advertising wasn't as good as it is now. So, but, we learned a lot. And I think that, like you said, like the biggest thing I've learned is, to really hone in on what I want to do is, I guess, my biggest lesson. And I feel like I'm learning that a little bit later. I'm realizing I already knew what it was. I just hadn't put that 2 and 2 together, you know?
That happens to me so much. And like, that's why I love having my own coach and my own like support, because like there's so many times where you really are like, I am lost. And the person in front of you actually sees much more clearly. No, like you're right on track, and they can pull that out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Well, this is like so awesome. And I really appreciate you kind of taking a leap of faith in me and just jumping into this conversation. I know it can be quite overwhelming to be on a podcast, and especially talking about, you know, all these different, very complicated, very nuanced kind of things. And you did a really beautiful job. Thank you so much for explaining all the questions I had, and really giving our audience kind of an idea, hopefully, that this is also something you can do. I do coaching, and this is what I love to do. But you can open a store, you can sell paintings, you can work with small artisans all over the world. You can create whatever it is that you want to create based on your unique self, right? You know, what are your values? Like you did in the Ikigai, you know, exercise. It's like, what are your values? What are you passionate about? What are your gifts? What are the things that you love doing that naturally you just want to be doing all the time? And then what do you want to see in the world? How do you want to change and improve the world in some way, and kind of mixing those together, and you come up with your own little thing. And this is what it was for you. And I'm just so glad you're following your purpose, because I just put in another order for stuff, and I feel so freaking good every time I hit purchase, because I know that this is a purchase that is going towards a purpose.
Mm-hmm. 0 regrets when you purchase from us.
Zero regret. Yeah. You know, actually, that's really funny. It's very rare that I have that kind of like, ooh, should I have bought that?
Yeah.
This one, I'm just like, hell yeah, add it to the cart.
Yeah, I understand. I feel the same way. And cause like I buy from other stores, and I'm like, oh, should I buy? And I'm like, no, I should buy from them, because guess what? Like, I want to look there first. I always look to my other fair trade store friends and look to see what they have before I buy anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And for y'all listening, go check her store out. She has incredible offerings, all different kinds of things, from candles to bath bombs to woven bowls to jewelry to clothing, all made by small artisans and supporting local artisans and women all over the world. And the thing that I also really love, lastly, just to point it out, is that she makes her stuff really accessible, because it is more of like expensive, right, to pay people a fair wage and to do things in an ethical way. And so it's not like her prices are skyrocketed like some of these other brands, like I won't Goop, but I have such a problem with them. But you know, it's fair for what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? And so what I would say is go to her website and check it out, because she has Afterpay. And so you can go ahead and break that shit up into multiple payments. So not only are you helping the world and helping women and participating in the change, you are also able to do it in a way that's accessible, which I think accessibility to these kinds of things is a really big problem. It seems like it's very much for the privileged, for people who have money, because it is more expensive, of course, to like do this in this way. But you take that right out of the problem, right out of the equation. And I love that. So thank you for offering that.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I offer that is because I didn't come from money, and I wish they had stuff like Afterpay when I was growing up. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining us today. I hope you guys took some notes and learned a few things. If you're listening and if you're watching, thanks for joining us. And we will be back so soon with another episode. And until then, you can find Lindsay at
Maison Soleil DC on Instagram, or maisonsoleil.com.
Perfect. And it'll also, everything that we talked about in terms of like brands and websites and apps, we're going to add in the show notes for you guys, so you can check it out. And if you have any questions for Lindsay, hit her up in her DMs, go browse her store. It is so freaking good. And if you have any questions for me, of course, you know, hit me up on Instagram. I live there. And until next time, have a beautiful rest of your week. And that's our episode for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us at the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm so excited. This next year, 2021, is going to be huge. We have so many guests that are coming on that you are going to love. I'm going to be doing some more solo casts and Om Therapy coaching. We have so many things rolling out for you. Retreats, another round of Ignite starting in May, another one starting at the end of the summer, a mastermind, and so many other things. So be sure to stay tuned with us on Instagram. Follow me at om_therapy_coaching and stay tuned for so much goodness coming up. As always, I would love to hear your feedback. Head over to iTunes and leave us a review, and I would love to give you a free copy of my subconscious reprogramming workbook, and that is absolutely free. Just send me a screenshot of your review and on Instagram, and I will be so happy to send that over as my gift for you. And I am sending you so many hugs, so much love, and I hope that this week you are able to find just a little bit more joy in your life. Have a good one, guys.